The administration's been embarrassed one too many times by big bonuses lavished on executives whose companies are effectively on the dole. So the Treasury here is trying to rein them in. And this is the first real test for President Obama's pay czar. 7 companies, now household names, not just for their products, but because they're on government life support. All of them have until midnight tonight to tell the Treasury's pay czar, Kenneth Feinberg, how much they plan to compensate their 25 top executives.
He's going to have unilateral authority to change the compensation for these people working for private companies.
$352 billion. That's how much the taxpayers invested to bail these companies out. The question is, how much leverage does that buy? We're about to find out.
A good portion of this is political theater, and it's a way of demonstrating to the nation that the government leadership understands their frustration.
Citigroup received a $45 billion bailout. The government now owns 1/3 of the bank. But Citibank trader Andrew Hall is still in line for a bonus of up to $100 million because he signed his contract before the February 11th deadline allowed under the law. So he'll probably be able to keep up the mortgage payments on the 1,000-year-old castle he owns in Germany. The CEO of Citigroup, Vikram Pandit, promised to pay himself a salary of just $1 this year. Presumably, he has savings. Last year, Pandit's total compensation amounted to well over $38 million. Feinberg has 60 days to review the compensation packages and propose adjustments.
If the czar agrees to pay levels as they now stand, there'll be public outrage. If the czar cuts pay and performance slips at those institutions, they'll blame the czar for poor results, and investors will lose.
Feinberg, a well-connected Washington lawyer, is doing this work for free. It's a thankless task, but he has some experience in that department. Prior to this, he was in charge of the fund that paid out the victims of 9/11, and some of the families accused him of putting a price on human life. Bill?
Okay, David Wright, for perspective there, let's also bring in GMA Financial contributor, president of Ariel Capital Management, Melody Hobson from Chicago. Hi, Melanie, good to see you. So pros and cons as you see it on this whole program.
Okay, the pros of having a pay czar overall. Obviously, for the American taxpayer that has bailed out these companies, there's someone watching over their money and making sure that poor performers don't get a windfall. The cons are also pretty obvious as well, because inside of companies, the superstars always have options. They can go somewhere else. And if there's a sense that there's a limit on their financial success, they will do that, which ultimately then hurts the American taxpayer because it could weaken the companies.
Isn't the idea behind this sort of reform, though, to get us away from a system, especially in these financial companies, that puts a huge incentive on risky short-term bets, these huge bonuses that incentivize, gambling with other people's money? Is there a way to do it with stock that they couldn't sell for years? How would you do this?
I'm a big fan of stock because I think that aligns the executives' interests with those of the shareholders. A perfect example is Vikram Pandit, the CEO of Citigroup. Last year, yes, there was a $38 million stock grant to him, but that stock is worth $4 million now. So he didn't get a windfall because the company didn't do well. So now he has every incentive to claw that money back, to get that stock up so that he can get paid. That's the way it should work.
Right. Well, Melody Hobson, we appreciate it. It is a double-edged sword for this administration yet again.